It's 3 a.m. and you can't sleep. You're lying there, staring at the ceiling, running through the same thoughts on an endless loop. Everything you haven't done, everything you should have accomplished by now, everyone who's ahead of you, every opportunity you missed. That heavy feeling in your chest that never quite goes away, that voice in your head that whispers you're not good enough, not smart enough, not disciplined enough, not worthy enough. You wake up every morning already feeling behind. You go to bed every night feeling like you wasted another day. And no matter what you accomplish, no matter how hard you work, that feeling never leaves. You feel like a failure, and it's eating you alive. If you know this feeling, if it's sitting on your chest right now as you watch this, I need you to know something. I've been exactly where you are. I know that 3 a.m. despair. I know that crushing sense of inadequacy. I know what it feels like to look at your life and feel like you're failing at being the person you're supposed to be. And what I'm about to share with you isn't another productivity hack or motivational speech. It's the truth about where that feeling actually comes from and why understanding its source is the first step to finally being free of it. Because you don't feel like a failure because you are one. You feel like a failure because something happened to you that you didn't even realize was happening. Let me take you back to where this started. You were a child once, full of possibility, full of dreams. You believed you could be anything, do anything, become anything. Then the world started teaching you about failure. You tried something and it didn't work. Someone laughed. A parent showed disappointment. A teacher marked your work wrong. A coach benched you. A friend rejected you. Each time you learned the same lesson. I'm not good enough. But here's what nobody told you. Those weren't lessons about your worth. They were just data points about specific skills at specific moments in time. You weren't good at that thing yet. That's all. But your child brain didn't process it that way. It generalized. It made it mean something about who you are fundamentally. I failed at math became I'm stupid. I lost the game became I'm a loser. They didn't pick me became I'm not wanted. I couldn't do it became I'm inadequate. Dr. Carol Dweck's research on mindset shows that by age 10, most children have already internalized a fixed identity around success and failure. They've decided what they're naturally good at and what they're just not capable of. They've stopped seeing failure as information and started seeing it as identity. And once that happens, once you believe failure says something about who you are rather than what you did, everything changes. Now you're not just trying to accomplish goals, you're trying to prove you're not the failure you secretly believe you are. Every project becomes a test of your worth. Every challenge becomes evidence about your adequacy. Every setback becomes confirmation of your deepest fear about yourself. You're not pursuing success, you're running from the feeling of being a failure, and you can never run fast enough. This is the valley, the dark place that every man who feels like a failure walks through, and most men never understand why they're here. They think they feel like failures because they haven't achieved enough, so they push harder, they work longer, they sacrifice more. But the feeling doesn't go away, it gets worse. Because achievement doesn't fix a broken identity. Success doesn't heal a wound that tells you you're fundamentally not enough. You can build a successful business and still feel like a fraud. You can make money and still feel worthless. You can achieve impressive things and still wake up at 3 a.m. feeling like you're failing at life. Because the feeling isn't about what you've done, it's about what you believe about who you are. Dr. Kristen Neff's research on self-compassion reveals something profound. People who feel like failures aren't actually failing more than anyone else. They're just relating to their failures differently. They take normal setbacks and make them mean something catastrophic about their identity. They experience normal struggles and interpret them as proof of inadequacy. They face normal challenges and see them as evidence they're broken. It's not what's happening to them, it's the story they're telling about what's happening to them. And that story goes something like this. Everyone else has it figured out. Everyone else is moving forward. Everyone else is succeeding. But me?
I'm stuck. I'm behind. I'm not enough. And if people really knew the truth about me, how much I'm struggling, how often I fail, how inadequate I actually am, they'd see me for the fraud I really am. Does that sound familiar? That's not reality talking. That's trauma talking. That's the voice of every failure you internalized as a child now running on autopilot in your adult mind. But here's what changes everything. Here's the turning point that begins your transformation. That voice isn't telling you the truth. It never was. You're not a failure. You've just been carrying a story about yourself that was written by a child who didn't understand that failure is part of growth, not evidence of unworthiness. Let me show you what's actually true. Every person you admire has failed more times than you've even tried. Every successful person you know has a graveyard of failures you never see. Every strong person you respect has moments of feeling inadequate that they don't broadcast. The difference between them and you isn't that they don't fail or don't feel inadequate, it's that they don't let those experiences define their identity. They fail at something and think, that approach didn't work. You fail at something and think, I'm not good enough. They struggle with something and think, this is hard. You struggle with something and think, I'm inadequate. They face setbacks and think, this is part of the process. You face setbacks and think, I'm a failure. Same experiences, different stories, completely different outcomes.
Dr. Martin Seligman's research on learned helplessness shows that how we explain our failures determines whether we develop resilience or depression. When we attribute failures to permanent, pervasive character flaws, I'm a failure, we become helpless. When we attribute them to specific, temporary circumstances, that didn't work, we become resilient. You've been explaining your struggles in a way that creates helplessness, and then wondering why you feel helpless. But you can change the story, and changing the story changes everything. Here's how the transformation actually happens. Step 1, separate behavior from identity. You are not your failures. You are not your setbacks. You are not your struggles. Those are things that happen to you, not things that define who you are. Start catching yourself when you say, I am statements about failure. I am a failure. I'm inadequate. I am not enough. Replace them with I did or I experienced statements. I failed at that. I struggled with this. That didn't work. This isn't just semantics. This is literally rewiring the neural pathways that connect your performance to your identity. Step 2, develop compassionate curiosity toward your struggles. Instead of judging yourself for failing, get curious about it. That's interesting. Why didn't that work? What was I missing? What can I learn from this? Treat yourself like you'd treat someone you're mentoring. You wouldn't tell them they're worthless because they struggled. You'd help them understand what went wrong so they can do better next time. Give yourself that same compassion, that same patience, that same belief that struggling doesn't mean you're broken, it means you're learning. Step 3, redefine what failure means. Failure isn't the opposite of success, it's part of success. It's information, it's feedback, it's how you learn what works and what doesn't. The only real failure is not trying. Everything else is just data. When Thomas Edison was asked about failing 10,000 times before inventing the light bulb, he said, I didn't fail 10,000 times. I found 10,000 ways that didn't work. Same experiences, different story. That's what made him one of the most successful inventors in history. Step 4, build evidence against the failure narrative. Your brain has been collecting evidence that you're a failure for years. It's time to deliberately collect evidence that you're capable. Every day, write down 3 things you did well. Not major achievements, small things. You had a difficult conversation. You kept a commitment. You tried something new. You helped someone. You showed up when you didn't feel like it. Your brain needs proof that you're capable. Give it that proof consistently, and over time, the narrative shifts. Step 5, connect with others in their struggles, not just their success. One reason you feel like a failure is because you only see everyone else's wins.
You compare your struggles to their success and feel inadequate. Start talking to people about their failures, their doubts, their struggles. You'll discover that everyone feels like a failure sometimes. Everyone struggles with inadequacy. Everyone questions whether they're enough. That connection, that shared humanity and struggle, that's what breaks the isolation that makes feeling like a failure so unbearable. This is what the transformation looks like. You stop waking up with that crushing weight on your chest because you're no longer carrying a false story about your identity. You're just a person working on things, some of which work and some of which don't. You stop feeling behind because you're no longer measuring your worth by your achievements. You're measuring your growth by your learning, your effort by your commitment, your value by your humanity. You stop feeling like a fraud because you've accepted that struggling doesn't make you inadequate, it makes you human. And being human is enough. The feeling doesn't disappear overnight. This is a journey, not a switch. But every time you catch that voice saying, "I'm a failure," and gently correct it to, "I'm learning," you take one step forward. Every time you treat yourself with the same compassion you'd give a friend, you heal a little bit of that childhood wound. Every time you separate what you do from who you are, you break the chain that's been holding you captive. And eventually, you realize something profound. You were never a failure, you were just believing a story that wasn't true. The men who build lives they're proud of aren't the ones who never feel inadequate. They're the ones who feel inadequate and keep going anyway, knowing that the feeling is just a feeling, not a fact. Here's what I want you to do right now. Think about the story you've been telling yourself about why you feel like a failure. What is it? I'm not disciplined enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not talented enough. I'm just not enough. Then write what you're going to tell yourself instead. The truth. I'm learning. I'm growing. I'm human. I'm enough. This is how the transformation begins. Not with achieving more, with believing better. Subscribe to this channel if you're ready to stop running from the feeling of failure and start transforming it into fuel for becoming who you're capable of being. You're not a failure. You never were. You just believed a story that wasn't true. See you in the next video.